Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Gurudev, Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Stotada, His Divine Grace Abhay Charan Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gopa Gopinath, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Shri Ganga Maya Ki Jai, Shri Jamuna Maya Ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from the 10th canto. We're in chapter 28 still, about the marriage of Samba. And I'm going to start with text 24, and I'm going to read a little bit today because the suspense is building between Lord Balaram and the rest. So this is text 24. Aho machat chitramidam kalagat yaduratyaya arurkshat yaupanadvai shiro mukutta sevitam aho machat Tritram idam Kalagatya Duratyaya Arurukshatyupanadvai Shiro Mukuta Sevitam Ahoma Chitramidam Kalagatya Duratyaya Arurukshatyupanadvai Shiro Mukuta Sevitam. Devotees. Ahoma Chitramidam Kalagatya Duratyaya Arurukshatyupanadvai Shiro Mukuta Sevitam Om Chacharmidam Kalagatya Duratyaya Arurukshatyupanadvai Shiro Mukuta Sevitam. Vaishnavis. Aho Mahachitramidam Kalagatya Duratyaya Arurukshatyupanadvai Shiro Mukuta Sevitam. Aho, oh, Mahat, great. Chitram, wonder. Idam, this. Kala, of time. Gatya, by the movement. Duratyaya, unavoidable. Arurakshati, wants to climb on top. Upanat, a shoe. Vai, indeed. Shira, the head. Mukuta, with a crown. Sevitam, ornamented. Translation, the Kuru nobles said, "Oh, how amazing is this? How amazing this is. The force of time is indeed insurmountable. A lowly shoe now wants to climb on the head that bears the royal crown." Please repeat. The Kuru nobles said, "Oh, how amazing this is. The force of time is indeed insurmountable. A lowly shoe now wants to climb on the head that bears the royal crown." Purport by the servants of A.C. Bhaktivedanta, Srila Prabhupada. By the words Kalagatya Duratyaya, the insurmountable movement of time, the intolerant Kurus allude to the degraded age of Kali, which was about to begin. Here the Kurus indicate that the fallen age of Kali had indeed already begun, since they claim that now the shoe wants to climb on the head that bears the royal crown. In other words, they thought that the lowly Yadus now wanted to rise above the royal Kurus. Om Jnana Tiramandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Uminitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatadine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bir Krishnadas Goswaminiti Namine Namo Hamsani Kashaya Prabhupada Priyate Sudrida Sudi Nistyam Vyam Tasha Vakinuvadine. So yesterday we heard about after Balaram had given his divine discourse to try and placate both sides and facilitate a favorable and peaceful outcome. The Kurus, the Kauravas, became furious with that speaking. The last verse, the translation said, "The words of Lord Baladev's were full of potency, courage, and strength, and were appropriate to his transcendental power, which simply enraged the Kauravas." They couldn't stand it because they were so puffed up. And now they're saying directly to Balaram, the lowly shoe now wants to climb on the head that bears the royal crown. So in the vernacular of the Old West, them's are fighting words. Balaram's not going to stand for that. And actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Jiva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, basically all say the same thing. And I'm just going to read a little excerpts of that, and then we're going to read forth a little bit more. 24 we did? Did we do 24? Okay, I didn't hear that, but I was in the temple room, or I was in the altar room. Okay, well that's fine, because we're going to read through actually for several more verses. It's just, anyway, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, how astonishing. That's aho. Oh, how astonishing. The movement of time is insurmountable. Leather shoe wants to climb on the head, even on a head with a crown. How amazing. But this is not surprising. Time cannot be overcome. This pride is impossible to avoid. So the acharyas are also somewhat astonished in pulling that out of this text. And we'll go on to text 25. I'd like to read through text 31. So if we can all read together through the next several texts, we can understand what's building here, because this is the point where Balaram gives up his his usual kind, gentle, and balanced demeanor to put them in their place. So this is text 25. We can all read together. Ete yonena sambada sahasaya sanasana Vrishnaya stuyam tam snita asmadata nripashana. Translation, it is because these Vrishnis are bound to us by marital ties that we have granted them equality, allowing them to share our beds, seats, and meals. Indeed, it is we who have given them their royal throne. Imagine the Kauravas saying this about Lord Krishna, Lord Balaram, and the rest of the clan. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami and Sanatana Goswami reiterate, the Vrishnis are bound to us by marriage. This is directed at Balaram. His mother, Rohini, was married to Vasudeva, a Vrishni. These miserable Vrishnis, or these who are related to Balaram standing here, have a relationship by marriage only. Moreover, they have thrones given by us. They do not have these things, being without a kingdom. Thus, they have become equal to us. So they were feeling a little bit of resentment that they were sort of being usurped or challenged, because, as we know, they were holding Samba after he took Duryodhana's daughter Lakshmana. They were holding Samba really without cause. You know, Samba maybe got out of line to take Lakshmana from her Swayamvara, but guess what? A Swayamvara is a woman chooses, or basically it's a free-for-all. So, you know, he took advantage of that, and he went and picked up Lakshmana. And so far, there's been no complaint from her. But still, they were upset. How dare they take our property, right? Okay, and text 26. Chamara vyajane sankam Atapatram cha panduram Kiritam asanam sayam Bunjate smarupekshaya. Only because we looked the other way could they enjoy the pair of yaktail fans and the conch shell, white umbrella, throne, and royal bed. So they're saying only because we looked the other way. Purport. Srila Prabhupada writes that the Kurus were thinking they, the Yadus, should not have used such royal paraphernalia in our presence, but we did not check them due to our family relationships. By using the words asmad upekshaya, the Kurus mean to say they were able to use these royal insignia because we did not take the matter seriously. As explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the Kurus thought showing concern about their use of these items would have been a sign of respect, but in fact, we do not have such respect for them. Since they are of inferior families, they are not to be respected, so we pay no regard to them. Text 27. Alam yadunam narudeva lakshanair datu pratapai paninam ivam dritam yeshmat prasado pachitahi yadava agnapayantadhyagata tripabhata. Translation. No longer should the Yadus be allowed to use these royal symbols, which now cause trouble for those who gave them, like milk fed to poisonous snakes. Having prospered by our grace, these Yadavas have now lost all shame and are daring to command us. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, in this verse they state that they should no longer ignore their offenses. We shall take away their royal symbols. The symbols now act unfavorably for us, the givers. They are like milk given to a serpent. Sanatana Goswami, the symbols now act unfavorably of us. An example is given to show the unfavorable results. They became prosperous by our giving, even though they are Yadavas. Previously, they did not give orders. Now they have lost all shame and give orders to persons whom they should not order. Thus they speak in this way. Text 28. So you see how this is developing into quite a show of rage. 28. Katami dropi kurubir bhishma dronarjuna dibihi adatam avarundita simagrasta mivorana. How would even Indra dare usurp anything that Bhishma, Drona, Arjuna, or the other Kurus have not given him? It would be like a lamb claiming the lion's kill. Jiva Goswami states, they speak out of pride, since the Yadavas got their kingdom without the help of even Arjuna. And Sanatana Goswami states, why should they become so inimical, since the daughter, who should anyway be married, was taken by Kshatriya custom? Since she was taken by force without our approval, our pride is injured. They cannot enjoy anything which is not given by us. That is the meaning of the verse. The word adibi indicates Karna and others. Arjuna, who is not present, is mentioned because as a relative, they are all considered one. And now for text 29. Sri Badarayani Ruvacha Janma Bandhu Sriyo Nada Nadaste Bharatar Sabha Asravya Ramandur Vachyam Asabhya Puramavishan. Sri Badarayani said, O best of the Bharatas, after the arrogant Kurus, thoroughly puffed up by the opulence of their high birth and relations, had spoken these harsh words to Lord Balaram, they turned and went back to their city. Now, there's no purport, but the texts of the Acharyas, the Tikas, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, mad with abundance of high birth, Janma, strong friends, Bhishma and others, and wealth, they made Balaram hear their harsh words. Jiva Goswami says, after making Balaram hear with anger and loud voices, those who were without politeness, asabhya, entered the city quickly, turning their backs to him. And Sanatana Goswami states, Dhritarashtra and others spoke to Balaram, who had come there to give them happiness, using words which were very unsuitable or to be condemned. After making Balaram hear with anger and loud voices, those who were without politeness entered the city. Bhishma and some others remained, however. So not everybody went, just probably the most mad. Text 30. Drishtva kurundam dauhajiyam srutva vachyani chachtuta avochat kopa samradabo dusprektya parasanmoho. Seeing the bad character of the Kurus and hearing their nasty words, the infallible Lord Balaram became filled with rage. His countenance frightful to behold, he laughed repeatedly and spoke as follows. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states, in the circumstance, Balaram thought, let them say what they want and do what they want. So he was silent. After the Kauravas left, however, he, in the presence of the city people, said and did what he should, and showed his anger. Krodha samradba. He laughed continuously from anger and spoke. Text 31. Nunam nanal madonada santim nechantya sadaba tesham hi prasamodanda pashunam lagudoyata. Lord Balaram said, clearly the many passions of these scoundrels have made them so proud that they do not want peace. Then let them be pacified by physical punishment, as animals are with a stick. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states, filled with pride in their wealth and other assets, only punishment will pacify their pride. The other forms of negotiation, such as sama and dana, will not work. Sanatana Goswami says, it is true, they are proud because of various types of power. Only punishing them will work, not pacifying words. So I'm going to stop there because it gets really, really intense in the next few verses. And we'll speak about this big problem that we all try to avoid, and somehow it just seems stuck in our heads. That old nasty thing, pride, puffed up, all of these fame, recognition, pratishta, when one starts to be a little bit more notable, recognizable. Certainly in the case of the Kuru dynasty, they were in power. They were in power, and they absolutely believe that no one can defeat them, and no one should attempt to defeat them. And how dare Lord Balaram come here and speak to us like this? How dare they? Even to turn their back on him. They actually greeted him with very much respect. all of them, each and every one of them, they greeted him very respectfully. They were happy to see him because Lord Balaram comes on those times when, maybe there's some comeuppance needed, but, he does things in such a way that everyone is peaceful and pacified. He's definitely a role model in that way. We should always try to speak those words which are truthful, pleasing, and beneficial, but at the same time, try to help others understand maybe where their missteps were, right? Where their missteps or their thinking is a little off. But they couldn't tolerate those things coming from Balaram, although they were very pleasing. They just somehow couldn't tolerate because they were so prideful. They were just so beyond any logic and reason because of this pride, one of the greatest anarthas, as we know, that tends to rear its ugly head when we're hearing things that we don't want to hear, when we hear a correction, or we hear about a plan that didn't quite go, maybe we worked so hard to enact a certain tract, and we were not able to see what we felt the result would be come to fruition. And then if it doesn't come to fruition as we expect or as we would like, then, we've all felt like it's disheartening, it might be frustrating, discouraging, all those things, but it's also, somewhere in there's a little piece, it didn't go as like I wanted, it didn't go like I needed it to go or wanted it to go. There's always that little nagging thing, through intelligence, right? Buddhi yoga, we can overcome those things. And through, our solid sadhana bhakti, chanting and, connecting to Krishna in that way, connecting to the spiritual master that way, we can overcome those things. We tend to be able to, most of the time, some can overcome those things. Sometimes we see some that are unable to overcome those things. And then the anger comes out, the rage, the I want it all and I want it now mentality gets trounced, and it's hard to take because, in our own little sphere of life, we have some matter of influence. We have some, we also have some things we need to do. So we're trying hard, right? In this particular instance, when it comes to royalty, and they were having a very nice samvat, they were having a nice discussion about the incident, It was a little outrageous, but it's definitely not unheard of that someone swoops in to take a bride. That happened all the time. Krishna did that. Krishna did that with Rukmini, And of course, chaos ensued to some extent, and Krishna had to tamp that down. And it's replaying in a little bit of a different way here because this is an extension. This is Samba, Krishna's son. Of course, the son's going to do what the father did. Of course, it's okay because, my dad did it. I'm going to do it. I want that person. Let's go. So, it's acceptable because it's Krishna and his son, and they're first class. And of course, Krishna, he's not in this scene. He is in another space. In one of the last altercations where Balaram had to kind of smooth things out, Krishna was somewhere playing dice, He's just enjoying all the time. He's just doing what he does and setting examples, whether they're acceptable or not. Krishna's just, Krishna's Krishna. But, Samba isn't really thought of in that way. And so, yes, it was a little outrageous, but there should be some discussion. They had a good fight. Bhishma and Drona, they had a good fight. They arrested Samba. He was somewhere. And You know, when it came time to kind of settle down, even it's stated in the Battle of Kurukshetra at night, the opposing sides, they sat down and they had dinner together. They weren't, you know, so, you know, it's interesting because we see it a lot in this world. Like, you throw that bomb, whether it be through words or thoughts even, or deeds, you throw it down, and then you're finished. You want to turn your back on whatever it is. You're finished. You don't want to deal with it anymore. You think that's it. But it's not like that, you know. As we go through our lives and we understand that Krishna's in everyone's heart, we must consider that. We must consider one another. We must consider one another's words and feelings and actions. We must consider that thoughtfully. And, you know, as we try and foster Vaishnava Sadachar, particularly, which as royalty, they should know this. They should know that, you know, reasonable debate or reasonable dialogue should be included in all of the maneuvers. I mean, strategic leaders, that's how they rule. It should be a very tactful and with peace in mind. You know, peace should be the goal. But just the words of Lord Balaram, which they didn't like, they didn't want. When they abducted Samba, it didn't seem as if they were waiting for some resolution to happen, but it didn't seem that they were going to be obstinate about it. You know, they were actually trying to teach him a lesson. You know, that was what the thing was. Everybody wants to teach somebody a lesson all the time in the Bhagavatam, you know. But Balaram's words, it just set him off. They just were set off, and they, unfortunately, instead of taking the correction or taking the good advice, they just made it worse. There's I saw a meme that I saved, and everybody, I'm going to go on a limb and say everybody has it. I definitely have it. You know, if you see something that you've already dismissed as not worth your time or effort, or somehow you get riled up that you don't want to address it because it's not in your favor, or you don't feel like it's going to go the way that you want it to go, you tend to want to make it worse. And there's this little meme of a raccoon with a crowbar, and he's standing over, you know, I forget what it was, but he says, let's make it worse. You know, that's always like there in the mind. You want to make it worse somehow. You know, there's just that, it's railing against good advice. You know, it's railing against sometimes reality. I mean, I bring this up a lot in class, but I see it a lot on Facebook, you know. I don't really post very much on Facebook. I don't go on it that much because every time I go on there, literally everything in the feed practically, it used to be nice. You used to be able to read Hari Parshad Prabhu's nice, you know, writings, his compositions, or different, you know, personalities would put, you know, very spiritually enriching things on Facebook. But now, amongst the Vaishnavas, it seems to have devolved into just ad hominem attacks all the time, and criticizing and fault finding just snowballs, because then whoever is criticizing and fault finding looks for more things. They've exhausted that avenue of criticizing and fault finding. So they look for more things to criticize and fault find with. And even they extend it out of the Vaishnava community into the greater world, like with political things or whatever. Just whatever things that the mind can really ruminate on, you know. People tend to get into that. And we see that here. You know, we see it here. Here's the example. You know, if they were upstanding leaders, they would be open to peaceful dialogue. That should be the way of the world. And, you know, that's not really the way in this world, but definitely there. That should have been how it went, but they just chose to make it worse. They want to make it worse for themselves. In all these instances, if they just would have taken a humble position, here's the rub, you know, humility is key. You just take a humble position. Maybe you don't even agree with whatever's being said, you know, because there could be some things that someone doesn't have a full perspective of, or you know some information, you know, that they don't have. You know, this is us in everyday life. You know, you just kind of, okay, maybe you agree to disagree. We've heard that, right? You agree to disagree, and then, you know, maybe later, once things simmer down, you can speak a little bit more eloquently to whoever about the issue at hand. Not make it worse, not actually inflame it more, because then it just becomes a fire. It's a dumpster fire. Nobody can put it out. Nobody can put it out, you know. It's happening right now on Facebook. I really wish there was some way that someone in, you know, Balaram himself could come and tell all of the Vaishnavas, you know, squabbling, criticizing, fault-finding, you know, talking about mundane topics, prajalpa, politics, all these things. It's a waste of our time. It's a waste of our time. We should be out like we were yesterday, chanting the holy names to the public, walking around, trying to help others, to share with others this beautiful process, share with others the Maha Mantra, give this knowledge so everyone can get on board and not think about, you know, these mundane ruminating on things that don't even matter. They don't even matter. They're just time filler. They're time waster. We had such a nice Harinam yesterday. Everybody was so favorable. Honking horns, waving out the window, you know, following us down. We were on Nagar Sankirtan. Huge smiles on their faces. Everybody needs that. They don't need more people standing over them saying, let's make it worse. That's what the media does all the time. You know, we got to wipe out, you know, we should all definitely stand strong and just, you know, put on our armor for those things and just eradicate it from our minds. Try to make peace and be joyful in our practice and be grateful each day that we can actually understand a little bit of what Prabhupada has brought to us, the acharyas, you know, in their tikas they've brought to us, and try to make the world a better place, you know, not make it worse with because we're the exemplars. We're Prabhupada's, you know, examples. We're Prabhupada's little white elephants here. We're all trying to, you know, show everyone this beautiful thing that Prabhupada has given to everyone. You know, it's not just for a few, it's for everyone. And we must set the best possible example in all circumstance to have others understand and want to follow that example. It's so important, you know. We can't devolve into such mundane things and get into pride and I'm right and I'm going to argue. I'm sure everybody's seen, there's some post, it has 100 comments. Who sits around and waits for everybody to comment on every other thing and then keeps wanting to go back and comment? What a time waste. So let's not waste our time. Today's Monday. Let's get our power from Sri Sri Radha Golokananda and Srila Prabhupada and our Guru to try this week to make a difference and be impactful in someone's life. One person. Hare Krishna.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindadalaya Taksham Bharavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Nandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Asa Sakale Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Vipan Vikayanti Giram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi
Shiv Jago Gaura Chandra Bole. Hi, girls. Read it. Kota Nidra Jao Maya Pishachira Gole. Pishachira Gole. Bajibo Boliaeshe Samsara Bitore Boliaeshe Samsara Bitore Bulia Rohile to me Havidyarabare Bulia Rohile to me Havidyara Tomare loite ami Hainu avatara Tomare loite ami Hainu avatara Ami bina banduara Kache tomara Habibina ba Maya Sauri Maya Nasi Barolagi Enichi Sauri Maya Nasi Barolagi Hari Nama Maha Mantra Lao to me Magi Hari Nama Maha Mantra Lao to me Magi Bhakati Vinara Prabhu Charane Pariya Bhakati Vinara Prabhu Charane Hariya Say Hari Nama Mantra Lo Lo Magiya Say Hari Nama Mantra Lo Say Hari Nama Mantra Lo Magiya Say Hari Nama Mantra Lo Magiya Jeev Jaga Jeev Jagora Chandra Bole Jeev Jago Kara Chandra Bole Kota Nitranja Maya Pisha Chiragole Kota Nitranja Pisha Chiragole Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda Radha Goloka Nanda Hare Tara Chandra is calling. Wake up, sleeping soul. Wake up, sleeping soul. How long will you sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? You have forgotten the way of devotional service and are lost in the cycle of birth and death. I have descended just to save you. I am your only true friend. Other than me, what friend do you have? I have brought the medicine that will wipe out the disease of illusion from which you suffer. Take this great chant for deliverance. Maha Mantra, the names of Hari. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, falling at the Lord's lotus feet, take shelter of the Hari Nam Mantra, the Lord's holy names. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Cheto Darpanam Arjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Sreya Kairava Chandrika Vajanam Vidyavadu Jivanam Ananda Buddhi Vadanam Pradipanam Vurnam Niswadanam Sarvatma Snaparam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahudani Sarva Shaktis Tatra Nitami Amita Smanane Nakala Eta Drishi Tava Kripam Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Mitrishaniha Nanina Nuragaha Trinadapi Sunishena Tarurapi Shahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavidam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmaneshware Bhavata Bhakti Raita Kitwai Ainandan Manuja Kikaram Patitamam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripaya Bhagavad Gajastitya Dunsadrishtaya Nayanam Galarasudaraya Vadanam Gadgada Rudairgira Pulakarnichitam Vapukada Tavanamaganame Vavishyati Yugayitam Nimeshena Chakshusha Pravishayitam Sudyayitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Vidahename Ashli Shavapadamadhamastumam Adarshamam Markaram Karutova Yatatatalim Pato Matpranastu Saevanapara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses all of all the dust of accumulated knowledge and extinguishes the light. I thought Ananda was here. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. These transcendental names you have invested your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy name, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O mighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service after birth. O son of Maharaj Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing from me when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? When will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are falling from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord. He shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shri Shikshashikam Ki Jai. Thank you, Mother Chaitanya, for beautiful dressing. All glories. Thank you, Saraswati and Dayaradika, for cooking a beautiful breakfast. Thank you. And let's welcome our guests. Brihat Mridangadas. I don't know the names of your compatriots. Jagadish.
And Bhakta Bruce.
Bhakta Bruce and Jagadish. Welcome to New Goloka. I think they've been here before, right? Yeah, okay.
They're on their way to.
Here's the Sunday feast selection.
No, I know him. I
Oh,
mean,
the
these-
others,
yeah,
yeah.
the others. They're on their way to where? Where are they going?
India.
Oh, you're going to India? Oh, you're going to Navadvip. From here? Okay.
And they
Okay.
live
Safe
on the
travels.
road.
Safe travels. Safe travels. Safe travels. Good for you. Haribol.
And we'd also like to.
Oh, yes, let's continue our prayer and our vigil for Neil Gopal, the son of Omkar Prabhu and Jadharani, who seems to be teetering. He's up and down. He's vacillating. He's up to the ICU and back down and back up and back down. So let's please all pray for him. He's very critical stage right now, actually. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
And we'd
Shri
also
Radha
like to
Goloka
thank
Nanda
Lila
Ki Jai.
Shakti for a very, very enlivening. On a purpose to come alive in our life and make them so that we can apply them in our present day situation. And she made that so very clear, what's going on in this material world, the suffering that's going on, and the necessity. Harinam, Sankirtan, and book distribution. Thank you, Leela Shakti. Haribol.